Welcome to NSBS News. I'm your host, David Brinkley, and with me is
Fiona Bruce. On to David for the headlines.
Ditch Kwong Duck burned alive in an intersection. We have reports of the anti-apartheid movements from South Africa.
Movements around the world, such as the anti-war movement and non-aligned movements, created conflicts as well as resolutions. With the implication of military dictatorships across the world, the military-industrial complex was elevated to produce more weapons that would eliminate the enemy.
And the mysterious New World Order sparks conspiracies across the planet.
But before we start, we have an inspirational statement from the one and only Martin Luther King Jr.
I have a dream.
Well said. He fought for civil rights for African Americans through a peaceful manner with speeches such as,
I have a dream.
well said. Again.
Buddhist protests reached their peak in 1963, which was sparked by an incident that took place in May. Monks and worshippers gathered in the city of Hue. Diem's police opened fire on the assemblage, killing 9 people in total. Diem blames the deaths on communist terrorists. As tensions mounted, Buddhist protests spilled over into the streets. Then, on June 11th, an elderly monk, Thich Quang Duc, staged an elaborate ceremony in the middle of a busy intersection in Saigon, in which he doused himself with gasoline and set himself on fire. The shocked global reaction to the story, however, did not inspire Diem to end his persecution. We have a special scoop on the story with David, who is in China currently. David?
Thank you, Fiona. Here I am in China, at the very intersection where Thich Quang Duc was burned alive. Here are his very remains. On to my co-host Fiona, with the privilege to interview the man, the myth, the legend, Pablo Picasso.
Thank you, David. We are here with Mr. Pablo Picasso to discuss his recent painting, The Guernica. Now, Mr. Pablo Picasso, what were your initial thoughts and what was going through your mind when you decided to paint The Guernica?
My initial thoughts were, they were actually a political statement is what I was going for, and it was my reaction to the Nazis.
And it is indeed quite a strong political statement you have made. Now, what about the Nazis are you targeting? What about them is what has drawn you to paint this?
The tragedies and atrocities that were occurring throughout this time period really enraged me because these very human beings were being tortured. And I expressed that through my painting, The Guernica.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule and being here with us today. And
Yes.
any last thoughts?
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Back to you, David.
The anti-movement, otherwise known as the anti-war movement, was a political/social movement against the start of war. This movement started after World War I and gained momentum during the Vietnam War. And this...
The Al-Qaeda have just bombed a church in Syria! If you didn't know, the Al-Qaeda was formed in 1988 by Osama bin Laden and Abdullah Azzam. They bomb with the ideology of eliminating Western culture in the Arab Muslim world.
Now down to my man, Mario Hilario, at the scene of the crime in Syria.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here in Syria, and as you can see, there's a ton of chaos, havoc, because of these bombings that Al-Qaeda has caused. And back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Mario. Now on to commercial break. Hey, hi there. Are you into terrorism? Are you looking to get better at terrorism? If so, go ahead and call this number right now to join the ETA. We're only the best option for terrorists in all of Spain. Responsible for killing 829 people, injuring thousands, and undertaking numerous kidnappings, it's easy to see why so many people like you are joining up today. Even if Franco didn't approve. So go ahead and call now. You won't regret it. Go terrorism!
And we're back.
Today we're here in Africa today, and if you look out there, you can see a 50% increase in camels since 2006. Oh, what's this? Oh, sorry, wrong script. The apartheid movement of South Africa, which is where we are, is a formal social system in South Africa in which black people and people from other racial groups did not have the same political and economic rights as white people and were forced to live separately from white people. Now on to our Indian correspondent, Mario Hilario, with the inside scoop on Gandhi.
Thanks, Dave. As you can see, I'm still in Syria. I missed my flight back to India earlier today, but it's still a perfect time to talk about Gandhi. Gandhi devoted his whole life to obtaining the independence for India from Britain. He was a lawyer, a political activist, and a man a people loved.
Now we're Skyping our friend Mao Zedong, the communist leader of China.
On to you, Mao.
查中啊，依家啱啱食咗飯，我又飽，唔肚餓。但係我真係唔識，好麻煩嘅，因為我只不過一個中國人啫嘛，我又唔識好多嘢。我識英文，識中文，一個人識中文但係佢唔識講㗎，冇用啊！佢知道我講緊咩啫嘛，佢唔笑。我知道佢依家笑緊㗎，點解佢唔會啫？
Thank you, Mao, for loaning us your time. On to the next topic of today.
The New World Order, also known as the Illuminati.
The New World Order refers to the emergence of a totalitarian world government. We are a secretive order run by a powerful elite with a global agenda conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian world government.
Now on to commercial break. Hi there, I'm an Irishman, so you can trust me. And we need your help. Me and my Irish boys down in Dublin are fighting a bloody war, which is known as the Anglo-Irish War. And we need you to join the IRA. It's the Irish Republican Army. We're fighting the British to gain our own island. I want me own Ireland. So join up today and follow those rainbows.
And we're back.
Now on to our military specialist, Mario Hilario.
Today, Mario will be analysing some of the military dictatorships and the military-industrial complex.
Thank you for the introduction. The military-industrial complex promoted policies that may not be in the country's best interest. As the nuclear arms race, it caused many problems with bombs, guns, and tanks. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the first person to talk about this in his farewell address on January 17th, 1961. He warned that the United States must guard against the acquisition of the unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex. He believed that the military-industrial complex tended to promote policies that might be in the country's best interest, such as the nuclear arms race. And now on to dictatorships. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but dictatorships are being introduced around the world, in Spain, Uganda, and Chile. In Chile, Salvador Allende, the leader, was overthrown by a coup d'etat in 1973 and caused Chile to be ran by a militarized dictatorship until 1990. Franco, the dictator of Spain, led Spain into a dark time period with rebellions and civil war. And lastly, in 1971, Idi Amin, the dictator of Uganda, was one of the worst of all. He led a coup d'etat to declare himself leader, and during his reign, he specifically revolved around cruelty. And that's all I got for you now. And now on to Fiona.
And finally, the non-aligned movement. The non-aligned movement was formed during the Cold War, largely on the initiative of then President of Yugoslav Josip Broz Tito, an organization of the states that did not wish to formally sign themselves over to either the United States or the Soviet Union, but they sought to remain independent or neutral. Thank you everyone for joining me today at NSBS News. I'm your favorite host, Fiona Bruce, and we'll see you next time. Good evening.
I'm in Africa today, and here we are, and there's camels out there.
Movements around the world, so I'm American.
In South Africa.
Thanks, Dave.
I was trying to make a political statement. It was actually
我試咗5次啦，真係好煩嘅，因為我唔